Welcome back, everybody, to the Unwired Appalachian podcast. Football season is around the corner, so that means we got a special guest, Belfry coach Matt Varney. Coach, welcome. You guys are underway. We've been to the 7-on-7 here recently. Just talk about how you guys are looking so far, and that's where we'll start. How's everything looking so far with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, for this time of year, it's okay.
Yeah.
They're coming in every day. They're working hard. We got a long way to go, but we've got a lot of experience coming back. That helps. We got a lot of guys that you're not having to constantly coach things that they've got to some carryover from years past and the spring. So, but they're coming in with great attitudes and working hard, and that's all. As a coach, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and to everybody who don't know Matt yet, longtime assistant with Coach Haywood. We've got to mention Coach Haywood and the legacy that he's held and all the stuff he's did. Just talk about what I know is you could probably talk all day, but just
Right.
as simple as you can. What did he mean to you and your staff? Because all you guys have been together so long and stuff. I mean, just we don't want to dwell on that stuff too much, but we have to at least touch on it.
Well, myself and others, some of our other staff has been with Coach many years.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been a mentor to us, a second father figure to a lot of us. But he has meant so much in our careers. And we've learned from him over the years. And like you said, we've been with him for many years, and we've learned a lot of things that he has done that he had learned from others that he has passed down to us. We learned, how to for one, how to coach, how to treat people, how to deal with different situations, anywhere from discipline to helping a kid to, just being a mentor to kids and watching him deal with those situations meant a lot. We've learned a lot from him, and we just want to take that and run with it and just keep on carrying on what he wanted to do. Coach wanted to help everybody.
Absolutely.
He did. He was a giving and helping person, and it went above and beyond football. But and we learned that from him. We want to do great on the football field, but we want to take what he has taught us and teach these young men how to be good, be good husbands, be good fathers, and go out and be successful. And that's what his main goal was, and that's what he's instilled in us to do, and that's what we want to do. That's our same goal. We have the same goals and expectations that we've had for years.
Absolutely. I figured that would be the answer because being around you guys so much over the years, you see it from everybody. But this year, the players have to adjust too.
Right.
How have any of them, said anything about dedicating the season to him, or just kind of talked about his memory, or just things in general? I know things like that will probably come up with teenage kids.
It does. Ever since this happened, even when we were doing our spring practice and our summer workouts, we were constantly talking, whether it be as a group or individuals, because they needed that. I mean, they hurt too. That was like losing a family member. They all felt the hurt, and we all still do. But they've been resilient. How young people are. They have they've come a long way. And they talk about wanting to just to honor him.
Absolutely.
And to honor the things that he taught them. Some of our our guys that's been there 2 or 3 years, and they know how we run our program. They're kind of leading by example and leading, and they want to, like I said, they want to honor him and do things right, like we're teaching them, like he taught them. But they've not really said they want to dedicate this season to him, but in the back of their minds, I know they do.
Absolutely.
And in their hearts, I know they do.
Yeah. Yeah, and just kind of moving on from that, we'll start talking about the team now.
Yeah.
Just talk about, this team. You got a lot of experience back, 4-year starter at quarterback. That's very rare at Belfry. I mean,
it is.
Just kind of talk about that. You got some linemen back who's played, some of these guys 3-4 years. You had to step in the fire when they were young. Played in some big games, won some big games, had some injuries and some other time. Got a lot of experience. Just talk about that coming back.
Yeah.
Usually a lot of experience means good stuff at Belfry.
Yeah, and it helps to have the experience coming back. We do. Like you said, our quarterback, he's going to be a 4-year starter. Chase does a really good job of leading our offense. He's another coach on the field. He's a true general out there on the field. He's taken his bumps and bruises over the years and learned in situations, and he has been in some big ball games. And he's not the only one. We have some other guys that's started 4 years. There'll be 4-year starters and a lot of 3-year starters. But we do have a lot of experience coming back, and our skill In our linemen, Bo Wolford, big tackle that plays is strong, and Caleb Bushman and a few Braden Markham. We have a lot of guys on the line that's got a lot of experience and has played a lot of ball games. But like I said, you got people like Ace Cottle and JB Woolham and Jeremiah Alston. You got Hunter Hilton on both sides of the ball. Hunter's plays defensive tackle for us as well. He's going to be a 3-year starter, and played some as a freshman. But we've taken our bumps with these guys. I can remember going to when these guys were freshmen. I think they were freshmen when we played LCA against Cutter Bowler, who's at UK right now. They went down and whipped us, and and we've learned from that, and they've learned that. They've grown up a lot. We've, going back to Union County last year, we played a good Union County team.
Absolutely.
Well coached, well deserving of representing in a state championship, and we left there with a bad taste in our mouth because we didn't play as good as we could have played. Yeah, taking nothing away from Union County, but we made too many mistakes. We didn't play our typical game. But they were a good football team. But our guys, like I said, have got to play in big games, semifinal games, and they're wanting to take that next step this year. Their goal is to win a state championship. Absolutely. And it helps to have experience, but it helps coaching. I'll tell you that. Between myself and our staff, it helps to have guys come back like that, 3 and 4 year starters.
Yeah, because you're not starting over with every guy.
Right. It's good not to have to play so many freshmen.
Absolutely.
Last couple of years, we've had to play a lot of freshmen.
Yeah, and with Union County, just talk about how important those home playoff games are because y'all had to go on the road. That could have been the difference. You guys at home maybe prepare a little bit different, maybe feel even the comfort of not having to travel all the way to Union County.
Yeah,
that's a long bus ride.
Yeah, it was. You were looking at a 7-hour drive on the other side of the state. And RPI is important if you want to play your home playoff games, and everyone does. I know we sure do. It's nice playing at home. Nice not having to travel on Thanksgiving 7 hours. But you got to win during your regular season to do that.
Yeah.
We lost a couple games last season that hurt our RPI, and the way our mindset is, and we've been talking about this, we've got to treat every game as a playoff game. No matter, we've got a tough schedule that can prepare us for the playoffs, and we've got to treat every game as if it's playoff because it kind of is with the way the RPI is. If you've got a really tough schedule, there may be a chance, in years past, people, you may lose a game or two, and it does hurt your RPI. Whereas a team not got such a tough schedule, sometimes,
it has a little bit more favorable.
Yeah, and that's where I disagree with RPI. Yeah. You can have a 10-0 team that's not played a very tough schedule that, they're at home all the time, and you got somebody that wants to play, really tough schedule that has to drive. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's the way it is, and that's why we're going to go. That's the way, we got to play by those rules.
Yeah.
But winning ball games and RPI is very important in playoffs if you want to be at home.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, it seems like a lot of you guys, a lot of the stuff starts up front on both sides of your ball for you guys. You got a lot of that. You talked about Bo Wolford, some of those guys up front coming back. How big is that for you guys? Because you like to be physical, you like to set the tone, you like to wear the other offensive line or the defensive line down, the offensive line down.
Yeah.
Talk about how big that is, having that experience and playing in the
It is, and most coaches will tell you that's where it's won. And we and no different from us. We want to, we've always we've been fortunate to have good offensive lines and good defensive lines. But up front, being physical and playing hard, controlling the line of scrimmage, people like we got, like I said, I talked about Hunter Hilton. He's back as a defensive tackle. He's he led our team in tackles.
Outstanding season.
Yeah, I think he was out 3 games and still had over 100 tackles. So we're fortunate to have him back, with his size and speed and his experience. You got a junior like Caden Boger that's getting, is really skilled and strong, and we look for big things from him this year on both sides of the ball. And when you got Tyler Bonds worked hard this year as a defensive tackle, and worked hard on his strength and speed. And we got a lot of guys that do that. And off season has really worked hard. And we've got to be better defensively this year, and we will. We've been really young, which is, making no excuses. We should have, but we need to be better on defense side of the ball, especially. Not to say we can't improve on offense and our special teams, but we're looking for a much better and experienced team this year on defense as well.
Yeah, and last thing on offense, and we'll switch up and talk a little bit of defense. But, a lot of times everybody talks about you run, 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 run. Y'all run the ball effectively well. But the last couple of years, Chase is running 1,000 yards each season. Just kind of talk about that. They don't really think of Belfry for throwing the ball. The last couple of years, you all, put some air under it. I mean, 1,000 yards at any high school is pretty good numbers.
Yeah, and especially how much we do run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Chase, like I said, Chase is a 4-year starter that has gotten so much better each and every year, and really worked on his arm strength, on his vision, on he's seeing things, on his reads, does a really good job, and he's and if the defense is going to give us that, I mean, we're going to take that. We'll throw the ball, and you've seen that in the last couple of years, and we'll continue to do that. Are we going to continue to run the ball? Sure, because that's what we do. But we are capable of throwing the ball, and we will throw the ball. And Chase has a lot of nice receivers around him. People like Caden Varney and Eli Cottle and Jaden Muncie and Keaton Deskins and some of our backs. They do a nice job. But whatever that defense is going to, it could be one game we may throw it a bunch. Could be one game we don't. Just according what they, we'll game plan for that. But it's something that somebody watched us years ago. There's been some state championship games we haven't thrown at any and still won and rushed for, 400 yards, 400 and 500 yards as a team. But we are capable of doing that, and if needed, we will do that.
Yeah, I know you guys are probably not looking to game 2 Pike County Bowl. It's always a big weekend.
Yeah.
We always got to ask about Pike County Bowl. I know that week 1's the first mission at hand, but Louisville Central, you talk about some state championship games. Y'all have had some of the best games I've ever watched at high school level against each other over the years. How fun will that be, renewing that rivalry? Yeah. Maybe not for the state title line, but I mean, still a lot at stake at the Pike County Bowl.
It is. We enjoy playing Louisville Central. We've like you said, we've played many state championship games against them, and most of the games were really competitive one way or the other. And then I know the last time they've been to our field one time when we won by last second field goal. And then we've been up there a few times, and that's a tough place to play but they're well coached. They're well disciplined, got athletes all over the field. But it'll be definitely a challenge. It'll show us where we're at week 2. Not to say week 1 it won't either. Week 1's a good opponent as well. But talking about the Pike County Bowl, but Louisville Central, we're glad to have a quality opponent come up to. Sometimes these big time, like Louisville teams and Northern Kentucky teams and even Central, they don't want to. They're good teams, but they don't want to make that drive all the way up to Belfry to play. But we're fortunate to have them in the Pike County Bowl and look so forward to getting to play them and getting to play that kind of competition and that kind of. We love to see that kind of team speed because you don't face that a lot with some of the teams we play. But Louisville Central sure gives you that. And but Coach Dantzler does a great job. Coach Scroggins and Coach Haywood, they had some battles and they become great friends over it.
Yeah.
But we've had some battles with them, and then we've had some with Coach Dantzler there too, and I'm sure it'll be another battle. It'll be a great game for fans to come out and watch. But we look forward to it.
Yeah, and your regular season schedule is just it's always packed. You always got the Johnson Centrals in there, the Pikes. Just we talked about it a little bit, but that balance of playing the tough schedule to get you ready for the playoffs, but still having chances to win and get that RPI, because you got to find that balance, I believe, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and you want to have a good RPI, and you want to play great teams too. You want to play good teams that's going to prepare you for the playoffs, and we feel like our schedule does that. You start off with a good East Carter team, which we played here a couple of years ago in the semifinals. Coach Champlin's done a great job there, and they're still doing good. They got a good team. They had a good team last year, and he's building that program up every year. And we're looking forward to going down there. And we already talked about Louisville Central, and then the next week play Johnson Central. At Johnson Central, when you know what Johnson Central is.
Yeah,
I mean, they got a great program. They're good year in and year out, competing for the 4A state championship, and they'll definitely give you a measure of where you're at. And they're a lot like us. They like to play hard and be physical, and they're going to get after us. And we look forward to that one too. And then We go to 5A Southwestern, I think, the week after that, which they're always a good club. I mean, they a nice team. They do a good job down there, and then come home to Pikeville, and Pikeville's always one of the elite programs in the state, and with competing for state championships every year, and it's always a battle. I mean, I don't have to talk much about that because it's always a battle, no matter records, no matter teams, no matter years. It's always a battle. And we always look forward to that game. And then after that, we jump into our district play.
Yeah.
Which will be new this year, our 2A. I mean, that's a jump, where we jump down 2A. And then we finish our year with Letcher County. Letcher's, they're doing really good. I mean, they've got a really good football program. We played them last year. I think we come down the wire. We beat them by 1 point.
Yeah.
And that was a really good team. And that's a good game to get us going in playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Letcher, I mean, they got a good program going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, just sorry. No, my bad.
You can report him, so
okay.
All that's the we should stop it.
Okay, we'll try to wrap this up real quick.
That's fine.
Taking too much of your time.
It's fine. We had one practice this morning. We got another one this evening.
You got any more 7-on-7s or?
Yeah, I got one. It's not at home. We go to Perry Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go to.
I like Coach Dixon. But
yeah, he does a good job.
Man, you talk about a guy who does not want to do an interview.
Really?
Oh man, he'll do them, but
yeah,
he don't like them.
Yeah,
he don't like them.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, we were talking about the district, and you were talking about that. Just talk about the difference between the 3A to 2A. This 2A is probably going to be a little easier to acclimate to it because the teams in it.
Yeah.
Shelby Valley, all the local teams there. Does that make it easier? But there's still going to be some good competition.
They are too. 2A is 2A is no slouch at all. And just because you drop, especially the top tier 2A, absolutely, like Beechwood and Mayfield and LCA and Owensboro Catholic and Somerset and you got some up and rising teams and your Breathitt's always there and they're we've played in the last 2 years and they're tough and Prestonsburg's doing better and doing good and then we get in our district and some of these teams have been in our district years past like Pike Central's in our district for years Shelby Valley years ago was in our district. And we look forward to playing these teams again. Our kids look forward. They like playing, we've had to travel so far to play some of our district games in years past, but they look forward to being able to play some of these local teams again. And, it'll be a change, but it's a good change.
And I think one of the biggest things that you talk about change is different play styles from some of these teams. Just talk about how big that is because sometimes when you're in that 3A, it seems like, a lot of these teams run a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same looks. This 2A, it seems like every team's kind of got their own little niche.
It is. You may play a spread team, that's throwing the ball all over the place, and then the next week, you may get one that doesn't throw the ball at all. But and that's okay. We're going to be prepared for both. But it is a little bit of a change. 3A. I don't know. I'm not going to say 3A. 3A has some really good teams in it, and
especially the top.
The top tier teams like Cal and Louisville Central, and Lexington Catholic and Bell County. But we battled with Rock Castle last year too. But and we're going to miss battle with some of the teams. We really, it was really good to play some of those teams year in and year out. But it's not going. You always like to change things up. Sometimes we like playing different people, but the styles somewhat will change, but somewhat won't.
Yeah, and I guess I guess we'll end it on something like this. Seems like the last few years, depth has been one of y'all's things. Like you had a lot of really good players, but say somebody got hurt in a key spot, it really showed. Just talk about with all these numbers, this experience. Some of these guys last year got pushed into the fire.
Yeah.
Talk about the depth this year and how that's going to play a factor because I think that's always a key thing with teams like you guys.
It is, and every team sees it every year. Injuries happen. So the next man up, you got to fill in. So, and with depth, we've created some depth over the last couple of years because of our youth. And now that our older guys we're seeing a lot more juniors and seniors on the field than we have. So therefore, some of the freshmen last year, people like a Jamison Chafin and Owen Smith, that are sophomores this year, they're going to be seeing, and you got like, which Eli and Ace Cottle, which they're a little older, but they're back on, and you got Kane Cottle, their younger cousin, and people like them that's being set, they're going to see some experience, get some experience this year too, and you got them just sitting there waiting too, and fighting for starting positions. And it's always good to have those guys pushing those guys.
Absolutely.
Makes them work harder, makes them play harder, because they know if they're not producing or they're out, and you got next man behind me is going to produce. So it's always good to have depth. I don't care who you are, what team you are, what classification you are. Depth will go a long way, especially long seasons. You're playing 14, 15 games a year. It's a long season, and there's stuff that happens, and depth is definitely a benefit to you.
Yeah, and I guess that will wrap things up for us. Well, thanks so much, Coach Varney, for joining us. We'll be seeing you all throughout the season. Great, just hopefully y'all have a great season. Hopefully y'all have another great playoff run. We love covering you guys. Yeah. For Coach Varney, Randy White, Corey Vance behind the scene over here. Stay tuned for the next episode of Unwired Appalachia podcast.